distribution and posting of materials. Erica, you want to add anything?
Just some very obvious changes, not a lot of change to the content. They have, where it said previously maintenance of order in school environments, they now added safety and order in school environments, so you'll see that throughout the policy. And then they've also added, as you see at the bottom of page 1 here, technological materials to be part of the policy, so just some very minor changes. Anybody has any questions or comments? Pretty simple.
No.
Yeah, it's just for
First reading, and I'll open the floor back up to public comment.
So that concludes our policy committee.
That was rough.
Good job, it's always good.
Sorry, my internet's not working, so. I have these, but I mean, I couldn't post pictures because.
Would you show us something? If you actually minimize that, just minimize that whole thing. The presentations are across the top. Okay, so if you just give Dr. So Dr. Scheid, the mouse is now
there it is.
in your,
I am pressing this.
and all the presentations are across the top.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Start now. Okay, so the first, and then I'll.
All right, so I'll call the activities meeting to order. If you don't have public comment. We'll start with the first item, which is the overnight trip for the PLA State Leadership Workshop.
Okay, so we have Mr. Brian is here, Leon Kona. Good, Liacona, thank you. And he'll walk us through the trip.
What you guys had, sorry.
That's okay.
Alright, this is a trip we've done for 3 years now, and we depart on a Sunday. So we leave Sunday morning, the conference is Sunday into Monday. This is an opportunity for the FBLA students that have been part of the club, and even some of the newbies, that give an opportunity to go to a conference for the first time, because the main conference in April at Hershey, they got to qualify for it. Sometimes students don't get to qualify. So to get that conferencing experience, and the guest speakers and the keynotes, it's a lot easier to focus on the conference at hand when you're not worried about competing against other chapters throughout the state. And you're able to enjoy that element of the conference, and it's a great time for them to network with other chapters locally in Bucks and Montgomery County. A lot of students of mine that have gone on from FBLA have gone on to room with other people that have done FBLA and other chapters on the western side of the state. So it's a great opportunity for students in the business world to understand networking at 14, 17 years of age that will carry on into their adult lives, as most of them will get on to college and study in some field of business. So we've been doing this conference, it's 3 years in Kalahari now. It's been at Penn State, it's been at Harrisburg. So I think it's our 5th or 6th year coming to the overnight. This is the 3rd consecutive though in Kalahari, and we'll remain there for at least the next, I think, 3 years we're contracted there as we are growing. So kids get an opportunity. The cost of $99 to me, not including their meals, is a great bargain. That includes their one night overnight, 3 to 4 students per room. Gives them their registration fees. The keynote speakers have been excellent there for the last 2-3 years. Very memorable, very light, skills based, life skills based for their future, and very motivating. So I think it's a great opportunity for our student population. I'm happy to continue to bring them there, and that's why I'm here today.
Thank you.
So are you limited to the number of students who can go?
We are not. So states is you have to qualify.
Right,
And this
right,
one
that's
here,
different.
it could be as little as 4. Usually, we used to do officers years and years ago before I took over. Mr. Dyer took just as officers because it was a good way. They do officer training there.
Sure.
But now we've opened up to our entire population, and we're fortunate it's less than an hour north of us.
Right.
So it's a short trip versus the western side of the state, which is coming 4 or 5 hours. They typically got to do it over 2.5, 3 days. They're leaving Saturday, getting there Saturday night, The benefit of that is they get in the water park an extra night for the kids. They get to do a little pre-conference activity. The downside is it is costing them more. We're able to get the cost down on our end.
You do not select the date, correct?
No, this is pre-selected. They
Because I remember
typically-
there was one year there was a conflict with maybe PSATs or something, and that,
The state conference in
Is that in the
April, it does fall, it's around the holidays this year. I think it's the Easter, spring break, so I know there's certain, it doesn't apply to Penridge, but it does apply to other schools.
okay.
And the conference leaders, the ones that do set the dates, are planning 4 or 5 years out, because they do have the contract with the Hershey Lodge. This is something they gotta, plan 4 or 5 years in advance. It also keeps the cost down by committing to that same conference center each and every year. It keeps, the cost at a minimal increase, just based on usually just lodging registration.
You guys have any other questions? Alright. Alright, thank you.
Welcome.
To move short? I'm sorry?
Well, we moved this
Yeah,
to,
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks to Hershey, move this to Hershey. You had to-
Road trip.
The next is the international trip to Costa Rica.
So this is the trip that was presented last year, correct? So you have already seen this one. We put it back on the agenda in case there were any questions because it never moved to motion for formal board approval. So it was presented last year, but if anyone has any other questions, we have to answer those for you.
If you remember, this was the trip that the board was favorable about, but our policy at the time did not allow for international travel. And so we had to table this trip to be able to deal with the policy. The policy was updated in July to allow for international travel. The only thing I would clarify on the form, and the form will be updated, is that at one point we talked about how for international travel that travel insurance will be required. And the form talked about it being optional.
And I actually have more information about that, Dr. Bolton, sorry to interrupt you. I talked with my tour consultant today, Kristen, and what is the big thing with it's built into my trip cost, so it's not optional, it's mandated.
Right. And for international trips, that is part of our
It's
requirement.
$165 cost, but it's already built in the fee
Right, the
for the overall trip,
Side question, I know when my daughter traveled with YOBC, that they had available to them a student ID card through the travel company that offered discounts for the students while they were traveling. So it served as an ID card that they could use for identification, but also afforded them certain discounts at
Yeah, I mean, not to my knowledge, does EF do that? I went on a trip with them this past summer. Biggest thing is everything's included with EF. We had a few lunches that were not part of the cost of the trip, but every excursion we did, and almost all the trip was kind of structured where they had a tiny bit of free time here and there, but it was pretty much structured out. All museum entries and everything were covered in the cost of the trip. So there was really no need for a discount card per se. And they didn't have ID cards or anything. But we did carry around copies of their passports for identification, so.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions?
Is there a question about vaccines or something that is, vaccines? There was a question about that.
So-
There was.
Yeah, when we had the conversation in the spring about vaccines and international travel, we talked about the different pieces. We decided, the board talked about at the time to use EF's policy on that. And so there are, depending on the countries, required and recommended.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming EF makes that known to their families, most of the
EF
travel
kind of
companies
goes
do.
by CDC, like they provide that, hey, it's recommended, but they don't require anything, to my
And I think
knowledge.
there are some countries where there are things required.
Yeah.
I don't think where you're
Canada and
going
Costa
is
Rica,
that.
there's not anything.
And so at that time, the board had decided that we were gonna allow the tour companies, in this case EF, but that's not the only tour company we may end up working with, to set that. So that we didn't put anything specifically in the policy specific to these issues.
Thank you for coming out again.
Yeah,
I
really
did
do
kind of have
appreciate it.
one question. I know is it probably gonna be motioned for approval and it should be good for the next board meeting?
I think so. If nobody has any questions or concerns, I think we were really just changing the policy to make sure that it could be approved.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure you have some procedure established to maintain security of the students' passports.
I do.
Okay. Because students are students, right?
Yeah.
And they're careless and.
Yeah, no. We do have security measures with that. My biggest concern is, like, the later I get to recruit students, I'm planning this trip for 2020, the less time they have to pay for the trip. So that being said, with your permission, am I allowed to have my meeting on, I mean, it will be after the board meeting, it will be on the 24th of September is when I was aiming for.
Absolutely.
But am I allowed to recruit beforehand? To like, not recruit, advertise at least for the meeting.
Yes, because worst case scenario, and like we said, we don't imagine that to happen, but worst case scenario, you have to cancel the meeting. The meeting's after the board meeting.
Okay,
And so no, for you to
alright,
be able
as
to
long as I have your
decide
permission to
say,
advertise.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Parents are gonna be showing out their money.
2 weeks before that meeting, before the meeting happens to pay for it, that's
Alright,
it.
thank you.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, so we'll move that forward to the board meeting. And next is the international trip exploring the South Pacific.
Yes, this is.
Quite the trip.
That one is for me, and to get us in the mood, I brought some Australian cookies for everyone.
Oh, she knows how to work this
So I don't know if anyone's familiar, but in Australia, they're known for their Tim Tams. So here are some for you guys to share on your long night.
Oh, that was very nice of you.
My favorite are the dark chocolate mints. You're gonna have to share
So we'll have to
across.
share.
Yeah, we're not sharing.
I don't blame you. You guys have half
You wanted one. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Bolt is here. I gotta give my favorite. So there you guys go.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna be that.
Oh, and then also, I have my photo book from Italy and Greece. This was not school sponsored, district sponsored, but it was all Penridge community. So if anyone wants to look at this, this is what I did this summer with the kids. So it's here if anyone wants to.
And it is beautiful.
How did
She
you
has
do?
shared
Photo
that.
book together already.
It's beautiful.
I'm good.
I'll pass this around.
Okay.
Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have like lots to pass out. I apologize. So the green papers are just a few testimonials from parents and a student from the trip I just took to Italy and Greece. So feel free to read if you would like. I don't know if anyone in the audience really. How's the Tim Tams? Are they? Okay, good.
Girl Scout cookies.
I know, but better. So is this where I'm supposed to be over here?
Any place is
Oh, this is
wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, this is good. I don't want to be all the way in the corner.
I'll do this for you, just tell me.
That's perfect. So you guys are probably gonna have to yank me off stage because I love to talk about travel. So if I go too long, please just give me the hook. So I am running a trip to Australia and New Zealand. This would be the second time for me to take the Penridge community down under. I took them in 2017 to Australia. Australia happens to be my favorite country in the world. I got the opportunity to study abroad there when I was in college. Traveling internationally is a huge passion for me. I think it really shows growth and different opportunities for each person as they travel my age or as high school students. So I'm so delighted to bring this to further the Penridge community because I've been within the Penridge community, but now we're the official with school board approval. So I actually designed this itinerary with EF. What we did was we took a couple itineraries and I kind of mashed them together of what I wanted to do and the way I thought it was best to travel Australia. I learned some key things when we were there in 2017, which was almost a 2.5 day bus ride was not what I wanted to do spending our time. So I was able to work with EF to get some flights intercontinent so then we don't have the wasted time actually spending in the bus. So we will fly into New Zealand and head into Auckland. From there we'll spend a couple of days exploring the culture of New Zealand, working with not only learning about the environment and everything that New Zealand has to offer, but also working with their native culture, which is a really cool opportunity. So just like in the United States where we have, Native Americans, New Zealand and Australia also have natives that were inhabited by different countries and have now taken over the country. So going back and learning about those cultures and diving into that historical is really a cool opportunity. From New Zealand, we'll fly over to Brisbane. From there, what we'll do is we'll spend a day on the Sand Island, Morton Island. It's the 3rd largest sand island in the world. You're right where you need to be.
I'm like,
Yes. So that's a day for them to really adventure on the island. It's a resort that is all occupied, so there's no place for them to go, which is the Chaperone Stream. So it's a great time for them to really enjoy the beauty and nature. There's dolphins that come up to shore in the evening. There's different types of things like sand tobogganing, snorkeling, all these different adventures. From Morton Island, we'll head down to Sydney, one of the highlights and probably one of the most beautiful cities with the Opera House, the bridge, and all the sights to see there. We'll get to go to a zoo, see the wildlife up close. EF is very concerned about the conservation of animals, and so unfortunately at this part, they don't allow us to hold koalas or wombats, which back in 2017 was a highlight for many of us, but because of EF really diving into what's best for animals and making sure that they're not held in captivity in an unfair, inhumane way, they have done it away with that, and so we will honor that also. So this is an opportunity to see the actual animals up close, unfortunately, instead of that awesome picture that we all have of holding a koala. So from Sydney, we head up north, which the funny part is up north in Australia is actually the warmest spot, so it's of course opposite of our country. And that's where the Great Barrier Reef is, so we'll spend some time at the Barrier Reef, snorkeling, seeing one of the wonders of the world. From there, we'll actually go to Kuranda, which is another location, and that is where we'll hear about the details about the Aboriginal culture with the natives of Australia. We then, after 15 long days, head home back to the U.S. So that was a very abbreviated version of the itinerary of 15 days. The great part of this is I've added a whole other country by doing New Zealand, but I only added one day to the trip because of the flights. So it gave us more opportunity to see the countries, which is so key to me, and really experience the culture of it. I don't know if you want to go to the PowerPoint that I made. Let's go. Thank you. Can't see that far.
I think one to the right.
Here?
It says tour company information.
No, not that one. That's should be part of your packet. Yes!
That one, whatever this one is.
That says tour proposal 2021.
What's it called, Dave?
That's it. There we go. Thank you. Sorry, even with glasses, I can't see that far. So this is just a quick PowerPoint, kind of just highlighting it. If you notice, there are some parent quotes here that I use. These were some parents that had quoted from our arrival back to Italy and Greece, just saying about what an experience their children had. So that's in the beginning of the PowerPoint. I didn't use any specific names, as you can see. All right, so about me. So I'm Nikki Marchese. I'm a school counselor here at North Middle School, and the reason why Australia is so important to me is because in second grade, I had Mrs. Durant. We were learning about the different continents, and she stood in front and said, you know, Australia, here it is, and the Great Barrier Reef, one of the natural wonders of the world. She's like, but nobody in this room is probably ever going to get to go there because it's so far away. And I remember sitting there in second grade and being like, huh, I kind of want to go there. Like, why is she telling me I don't think I'm going to be able to go there? And so it always stuck in the back of my mind. that, man, that sounds like such a cool opportunity to go to that country and experience it. And so then I went to college at Dickinson, and they had a great study abroad program, and I was able to study abroad in Australia at University of Queensland. So I got to go to Australia, even though Mrs. Durant said most likely none of us would. And then I got to take 48 other people to Australia, which was pretty darn cool. So if you see in the upper left-hand corner, that is all of us back in 2017. Center right is the group of us to Machu Picchu when we were in Peru in 2018. The one to the upper right is everyone from the Italy and Greece tour that was just this past summer. And the one in the bottom right is everyone from England, Ireland, and Wales tour in 2016. So those are the 4 trips that I've taken the Penridge community on. So that's over 100 students who have seen the world because of these travel experiences. So I'm really proud to say that. So it could keep going, rolling, keep going. So here is the EF tour history, because I know when you see the price, you're gonna go, so I wanted to show you what I've done in the past of 2016 through 2020. My 2020 trip this summer is Portugal and Spain. That's already set up. That is not through Penridge School District, so that's still not school district sponsored. So I have filled buses ever since 2017, along with a waiting list each trip with quite high prices. So those prices are a little scary, I know. The one thing is with the 2017 Australia trip, you see it was $5,400. When we get to the pricing of this trip, it is a little bit more expensive, but remember I did add more flights in a whole nother country with an extra day for about $600 increase for that price from a couple of years ago. So our tour dates, the earliest we would leave is Sunday, June 20th. The latest we would come back is Thursday, July 8th. So we have a departure window, and that is to guarantee the best pricing. So they give us a window of days that we can leave and days we return. We get our exact dates in about February typically. So EF, you guys are probably pretty familiar with EF, it sounds like from Devin's presentation. They are the world leaders in international education, over 50 years of experience. What I love about EF is that they're in every country that I travel with. So there are people on the ground immediately if needed. They can be there. There's schools, there's offices, there's all different types of things that EF does, gap year, so on and so on. So they are well within the world of locations. Safety. This is my number one thing. I press this with the students so big because it's a big responsibility to go to an international country. So we have a tour director with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They meet us at the airport and they say goodbye to us when they drop us off at the airport. Again, that local presence where they're in every country that we travel to. There's a 24-hour emergency line for parents, for students, for me. So all of us have access to EF at all times. The kids also have my cell phone, and all my chaperones do hold a cell phone number that kids can reach them at any time throughout the trip. Parents have our cell phone numbers too in case they need to reach us for an emergency or, God forbid something happened back here. So EF totally supports my safety policies and making sure that if a student unfortunately breaks one of our big rules, that they are sent home. So that is something that is very important for me to press with the students, that they understand that if you are caught drinking, it is no questions asked. You are sent home because of safety purposes. So the students know that their parents' credit card is on file, along with understanding that they are dedicated and they sign a waiver saying that they will not use any alcohol while on tour. Group travel, as you know, it keeps everything affordable. If you would price out a trip like this on your own, it would be thousands and thousands of more dollars. Group travel keeps pricing down because of group costing. Quantity always gets pricing down. It allows more students to see the world. What's really cool is the friendships. You know, I had kids on this last tour that didn't know a soul, and they came off the tour with best friends. And you know, they'd get on the bus, they're timid, and they're like, oh my goodness, like almost in tears, and then they're like crying, leaving because they're gonna miss everybody. So they have educational resources, college credit, and a college application, a common app that can be used to help write a college application if they choose so. That's a free thing that they can do. And if they decide to do some kind of coursework with it, they can get college credit. So our itinerary, I kind of went through that already, so I won't bore you with that, but those are some pretty pictures that they're gonna see. So what's included, everything that's up on that screen, airfare, hotels, tour director, on-tour transportation, different guided tours and itineraries that are all there. I don't wanna go through and bore you guys with everything. But it's more than an itinerary, as it shows, 95% of travelers say they expanded their knowledge of the world around them, 98% grew more confident and independent, 92% discovered more about themselves, and 89% understood more about new people, places, and culture, which I think is pretty darn cool. So I must have taken out the slide with the price. It's $6,100, so I didn't want to scare you guys too much. Whew, that was a lot. So, questions?
Does that price include transportation to and from the airport?
It does not. So what I
Is it
do
very specific?
in addition to that is I hire a bus, and in the past I've been able to do that through EF. It's under $50 per person for a round trip to and from the airport. We meet right here at North Middle School.
Okay, and is it required to be on the bus, or can students transport
It's
themselves?
required. Yeah. It's just a way so I know they're all
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody shows up late.
And it's another way to check passports.
Okay.
Sounds like a great opportunity.
Well, thank you. I really believe in it, so I appreciate that.
And I agree that the price is high, but I think if you have 2 years,
20 months, yep.
that kids can really plan, and one of the suggestions was to set up.
Is there a payment plan?
There's a
available?
payment plan. So if they sign up right away, which hopefully they will, it's about $200 and some per month, which makes it really reasonable. So then EF also has what's called a donation page, where you can send it out to family and friends, and that goes right into their account and deducts off. So there is not like a GoFundMe page where they take money off, it goes straight to their balance.
And EF is doing the accounting?
Yes,
Okay.
it's all the money is through that, nothing passes through our hands.
Okay.
I have seen pictures of all the places that Nikki has taken Penridge students, and it is just always a pleasure to listen to those every summer, or fall when you come back and start talking about that. So it does sound like an amazing opportunity for students, so good luck with that.
Thank you. And they get to have Tim Tams in Australia.
They're good.
Any other questions?
Let me know if you're stuck on Stratford.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I know, I'm like reading the itinerary.
Can I get away
Says
with
you
it?
can do teacher.
It's only 2 years.
Yeah, Dr. Barczyk and I were just talking about that.
Start with teachers, yeah. Alright, so we'll move that along to board meeting. Board agenda.
Okay.
And the last one is the overnight trips, the general overnight trips for, the 2019. So there's 7 items, the one that comes up each year.
I think down across the bottom is the general agenda.
Down bottom?
Oh, it's just down the line, it's the same thing every year, so it's no too detailed.